My name is Donna Baton, and I am proud to be the chair of the board at the North Clackamas Chamber, and I welcome you all here today. This is an exciting thing we do every year. We get to hear about the state of the county from all of our commissioners and our Chair Tootie Smith, and we thank you all for being here today. We're excited to hear what they have to say about the fun things that are going on in our community right now. The chamber is also very fortunate and excited to be working along with these elected officials to make Clackamas County a wonderful place to live, work, and play, and we expect it to continue as such. So thanks again for being here. It is also my great honor right now to introduce the Chamber's new President and CEO on his third day at work. Please welcome Jay Jones.
Thank you, Donna. It's kind of surreal when you get a role and on the third day you get to come to an event like this, and you get to have food, so that makes it all worth the while. Before we get started, as far as on the events, I'd like to take a moment to thank today's forum event sponsors: PGE, Clackamas County. So you guys can clap for them. Let's just go, right? It's fine. Northwest Natural Gas, Clackamas Water Environmental Services. I like that with the arm thing. Good job. And Kaiser Permanente. Now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce today's moderator, Patrick Sheehan with Better Homes and Garden Real Estate. He's the chair of our Government Affairs Committee and past Oregon State legislator. Patrick, come on up.
All right, how's everybody doing? Good. PGE's good. All right, let's have some fun, shall we? The cards on your tables are for questions. These questions are for the County Commission, and they're going to have about 90 seconds to answer each question, and they're each going to get a shot at it. So please don't direct your questions at one single County Commissioner. Try to frame it in a way that they can all answer it. So I guess without further ado, we should invite our County Commissioners up to the stage. And I just want to say this is it's been a tough few months for our County Commissioners, and they've done, no matter what side of an issue they fall on, they've done such a great job in thoughtful legislation and putting things together. And the Public Policy Committee got together, and we all chipped in, and we got them each a 3-night stay at the Quality Inn and Suites. So, you're welcome. You're welcome. So without further ado, I'm going to invite our commissioners up to the stage. As I call your name, please join us, and please greet them with a furious, sycophantic applause. Chair Tootie Smith. Commissioner Paul Savas. Commissioner Martha Schrader. Commissioner Mark Scholl. And the new kid on the block, Commissioner Ben West. So as you are writing down your questions, and just hold them up in the air, and someone will be by to pick them up, and I will be triaging those as we go, but I have a few questions that I've picked out specially. You guys are aware of something called Project Turnkey. I want to know from our county commissioners, and I'm sorry, we're not going into questions yet. You have your introductions, and they each have 2 minutes, except for the chair. We're giving her a little extra time because she has a broader discussion that she wants to have. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Chair Smith.
Thank you very much. We look forward to this event every year and appreciate your hosting it. Each commissioner will share a little bit about what's important to them, and I'll start. Clackamas County is in need of a replacement courthouse. The current courthouse was built in 1936 with a population of 50,000 residents and 1 courtroom. The building faces earthquake and safety risks coupled with inadequate number of courtrooms. Just ask our DA and Chief Justice. Clackamas County is home to several fastest growing cities. Simply put, our courthouse could not accommodate and handle the demands of a population of 430,000 and growing. The new courthouse will house 14 courtrooms and meet the projected community needs for the next 50 years. We just broke ground in February on a replacement county courthouse at our Red Soils campus in Oregon City. And the construction will generate hundreds of local jobs and add to the economy. When completed in mid-2025, our project will mark the first time in Oregon State history that a courthouse building is delivered through a public-private partnership known as the P3. A P3 is a combination of the best partnership between business and government converging to deliver a public safety service the public demands. The project has already begun winning awards. It won the 2022 IJ Global Award for Social Infrastructure Deal of the Year, citing the need for replacement, growing community, and the need and sustainability goals. By building the courthouse at the county headquarters on the Red Soils campus, users have easy access to county departments, including social services, behavioral health, public health, juvenile, veteran services, and the Family Justice Center. The project has been completed and will be completed without raising new taxes. Thank you very much. Clackamas County is supporting a number of other construction projects for essential community services, and they include Clackamas County or Clackamas Volunteers in Medicine, the Founders Clinic relocation into a new structure at Clackamas Community College. Thank you very much. I hear a little. Yeah, there you go. A new livestock barn known as the Multipurpose Facility at the County Fairgrounds in Canby. 2 new libraries, one in Oak Grove and one in Gladstone. Fuller Road Station, an affordable housing project, opened just down the road from here a few weeks ago, a 100-unit facility that will house the needs of our people experiencing challenges with housing. Tukwila Springs in Gladstone opened this summer. Thank you. It's a supportive housing for seniors and folks with disability, and it has been quite successful. And a new county transportation and maintenance facility on Beaver Creek Road in Oregon City. All of these projects are realized without raising taxes. Instead, we are using one-time monies granted from the federal, state, and we're using some of our county resources. The board elected to use these precious taxpayer dollars for aging buildings that has needed replacement over decades. So we are building and rebuilding Clackamas County for future generations. Another issue that the board is very concerned with is the unprecedented number of unfunded mandates coming from the state. Our county general fund budget is limited and funded by property taxes. And these mandates can stretch our spending in ways that hurt service delivery. An unfunded mandate, simply put, is a must-do from the Oregon legislature without any money to carry out the program. Unfunded mandates for the last 4 years are crippling county budgets across Oregon. Let me give you an example in Clackamas County. Commissioners were very happy to grant the sheriff's request to equip our deputies with body cameras. The district attorney views the body camera footage when preparing prosecution of criminals for trial. The Oregon Justice Department decided that the DAs across Oregon have to review the body camera data quicker, aside from the fact that many counties don't even have body cams. And that forced our DA to request an additional $750,000 of our county general fund, your property taxes, to purchase an additional software upgrade to meet this state mandate. If the Oregon Justice Department wants faster prosecutions, I would suggest they send the county more funding, more DAs, or better yet, quit letting convicted criminals free from state prisons. Commissioner Schrader is collaborating with the Association of Oregon Counties on addressing this problem, as I am with the chairs from Multnomah and Washington County. Clackamas County opposes state legislation and agency rulemaking that impose unfunded mandates on local governments. By the way, that would include cities. Talk to any of the elected mayors or city councils in this room, and they would concur with that. But on one last note, just a few months ago, the county welcomed a new economic development manager, Laura Edmonds. You may have heard of her. We hired her from her role as president and CEO of the North Clackamas Chamber. We love what she did to support the business at the Chamber, and we know she will even do more in supporting our businesses countywide. Welcome to Clackamas County, Laura. These are just a few of my priorities moving forward as the board chairs these as well. And now I will turn over to Commissioner Paul Savas. Thank you.
And please give your remarks from there so I can cut you off if you go
exactly.
that long.
Yeah, I plan on that, Patrick. Thank you for having us here today. My major role here at the county or assignment has been transportation, of course, that maybe some of you have heard. Show of hands, how many people heard about tolling? But we've been working on that pretty significantly and fielding a lot of phone calls, concerns from businesses, chambers, citizens all around the region and beyond, frankly. This got statewide impacts because ODOT has stated very clearly that tolling is coming to the entire state. So it's starting here in Clackamas County. The reason we got behind, I was going to back up, the reason we got behind this I-205 project was that diversion into Westland and Oregon City and local neighborhoods has been atrocious. And in 2010, when I took office, or in 2011 actually, it was pretty bad. And there was discussions between ODOT and Clackamas County agreeing that this was a big issue. We have documentation that supports that. However, we anticipated getting behind the bottleneck project and the bridge for seismic reasons, for capacity reasons, to widen it from 2 lanes to 3 lanes. And so, we advocated for that. HB 2017 came along. They did not fund that. And instead, we found out that, the way we're going to fund is with tolling. So if you either want the bridge or the widening, you're going to have to eat tolling with it. Well, we're pushing back on that. And I just want to say the impacts to families and businesses are going to be pretty severe because now it has economic impacts to the very people we're trying to help. ODOT estimates about $575 a month. We feel it's probably more like $2,000, not per month, but per year, and about $2,000 per year per family. We are working on this. We are preparing a response to the EA, and we will be, this board's united on getting behind fighting this tolling proposal. It is not fair, and frankly, the diversion problem will be exacerbated. It will go from bad to worse, counterintuitive to why we got behind this project in the first place. Back to you, Patrick.
Fantastic. Commissioner Schrader.
Well, it's great to see so many friendly faces here today. I can't tell you how many times I've been up on this podium. I've kind of lost count, but I'm glad to be here today and delighted to see all of you. And what I'd like to touch on right now is 2 of my primary interests here as your county commissioner. That is economic recovery and revitalization and increasing the housing stock for our workforce. Clackamas County has been and will continue to be an innovative economic hub. My actually focus for the next few years as we move ahead is on retention, expansion, and recruitment for businesses to make this possible. And much like Chair Smith, I really would like to welcome my friend Laura Edmonds to the county. Sorry, Chamber, we poached her. Okay, but you've got a great new director, yay, right? Okay. So every good will come of this. We have you, sir, and then we have Laura. Great combination, and she is now going to lead our county's Office of Economic Development. Our experienced team and there's our team over there, so let's give them a hand. They're all at that table, all at that table. They will be our point folks to work with our businesses to determine how this board can be more supportive of a business-friendly environment. And many of you know, before I was a commissioner, I was also a teacher and librarian, and I appreciate learning a thing or two about our history here in Clackamas County. And almost 20 years ago in 2005, it was this county that incubated the Pacific Northwest Defense Coalition. We incubated it here. That manufacturing organization is now regional. It's up in Washington State, it's up in Boise, it's Oregon. And it has businesses such as, I've got a list here somewhere, Boeing, FLIR, Lifeport, Columbia Helicopters, anyone that has anything to do with supplying a defense industry, those folks are one of our premier things. We gave them the space here to incubate this. So I now want to look to the future, and what I want to see in the future is how do we continue with those successes? So today, what I've been doing this last year, I've been visiting most of our larger businesses. I visited Oregon Tool in Milwaukee, who shared with me as an entomologist that a beetle's bite, marking a wood chip, is what revolutionized the chainsaw industry, and so began the success of Blunt. I learned that KinderCare, headquartered in Lake Oswego, and is addressing the child care desert. Right now, there is only one slot for every 3 children that need care. And Siemens in Wilsonville created an on-site center for families, which has made them an employer of choice. They've recognized that child care is an economic driver. More facilities mean more parents can remain at work. I met with Cisco Foods, who are converting hundreds of their trucks to electric Freightliners in partnership with Daimler Trucking to reduce emissions. Bigger Precision Cast Parts, D.W. Fritz, Kaiser Providence, and Legacy Health, to name a few, are other successful companies and healthcare folks who are employers who are now providing good wage jobs that help our county.
Okay, well, can we just save the rest of your comments for the close? I just need to keep us on track, and we're about 2 minutes over.
Oh my gosh, I always talk
Commissioner
too
Shull.
much. Thank you.
Thank you and good afternoon. Once upon a time and long ago, when Reagan was president and E.T. was a box office hit of the year, that year was 1984, when the idea to build the Sunrise Gateway corridor between I-205 and Highway 26 began to receive regional transportation interest. In 2016, Phase 1 was completed from I-205 to 122nd. Stimulating both warehouse distribution commerce and reducing general transportation and commuting time. Now, a goal of Clackamas County is to continue to improve the Sunrise Corridor along Highway 212. Phase 2 will be from 122nd to 172nd. The corridor is one of the most essential transportation routes, not only in Clackamas County, but for the state of Oregon. Its allowance of freight between I-205 and ultimately 26 as a critical link between Portland and region in Central Oregon. To give an update on where we are today, in 2021, Clackamas County was awarded $4 million from the Oregon legislature to develop a visioning concept for the Sunrise Gateway corridor. Clackamas County and the city of Happy Valley are partnering with ODOT to implement this project over the next 2 years. These funds will be used to conduct a community visioning process to look at challenges and opportunities along the corridor for transportation, economic competitiveness, land use, and to understand the needs of business and the concerns of property owners as well. Last year, we moved forward with the project partners and finalized a financial agreement with ODOT. This year, the county will finalize our project scope and budget, formally kick off the project, implement an extensive communications and community engagement plan, and assess the impacts of highway development and the economic status of the project area. And we
I
will
have to do the
this.
same thing that we did with Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're well past. I got to keep the
Okay,
train on the
Pat.
tracks.
Keep doing a good job.
Okay. Commissioner West.
So I'm usually the one that gets a mic and bloviates for too long, but I'm glad to see that I'm not the only politician with that issue. My name is Ben West. I'm your newest county commissioner. I'm having a blast. One of the key issues that we hit the ground, since this board has existed, this new board, we hit the ground running on addressing homelessness in our county. And we're taking a little bit of a different approach in Clackamas County on how to address this chronic and persistent problem. We want to be very clear that we believe that addiction and mental health has been divested from in our state, in our urban areas, and we have to get serious about helping that human condition. It goes beyond just housing, and it goes beyond models like harm reduction, but we have to get serious about creating a real continuum of care that helps people that are living in darkness, that are living in despair, that are living unhelped on our streets, that need a pathway to recovery. And in Clackamas County, we believe recovery is possible. And I think that that gives hope. So we have a draft that I hope will be adopted. I'm pretty confident will be adopted, a resolution draft tomorrow. That begins to speak to this worldview that too many of our elected leaders have been too afraid to come out and make a priority. But not in Clackamas County. We're going to make bold statements about how to address this problem and the framework in which we will take action. I'm going to give you a couple of the whereases because I don't have time. I have 30 seconds. I'll give you like one or two. Whereas Clackamas County has identified that drugs, crime, and untreated mental illness, of which homeless campments are a symptom, as top threats to health, safety, and flourishing of all its residents. And whereas Clackamas County acknowledges that the significant and consequential portion of those struggling with homelessness in the greater Portland area throughout North America also contend with the complex disease of mental illness and or addiction, whether a precursor to or as a result of homelessness. Whereas Clackamas County recognizes that housing alone cannot cure mental illness or addiction, and the nature of addiction is a serious mental illness, can make sufferers unable to recognize their own illness or seek the help willingly and benefit from a well-coordinated continuum of care to help them get the support they need. And I have to stop. But tune in tomorrow for that resolution. It will be a big driver in the actions that we take to address this issue as we begin to solve this problem with local solutions.
Okay, so everybody has your cards on your table. If you have them, raise them up, and we will get our chamber staff to pick them up. I see one in the back there. I will start things off, and let's go with, because we're about 12 minutes over, let's do 60 seconds for responses so we can get as many of these in as possible. So on Project Turnkey, I'm curious what, in 60 seconds, what you could share with us that we don't know about some behind the scenes or inside baseball that happened that may have influenced your decision or your vote.
Oh, you're talking about me?
No, I'm talking about all of you.
So can I start with
Yeah,
that?
please.
I'll try, okay.
Commissioner Schrader.
60 seconds. I just want to let people know Project Turnkey came out of County Solutions through the Association of Oregon Counties. And basically, the notion was that they could purchase hotels and get people housed quickly. It was something, however, that is not a Portland model. I want to make people sure that they're aware of that. This was rural, urban, and suburban counties coming together as a statewide association, most of the turnkey properties are in rural Oregon, and I'm happy to say I found out yesterday, even though we are not going to be going down that road, the dollars that we would have had are now going to be going out to our rural counties for housing. Thank you.
Commissioner Schull.
Yes, the turnkey project was a very controversial issue. Many people were concerned about adding another facility to help alleviate homelessness. But my concern about that project was that the residents of the greater Sunnyside Road area, Happy Valley, their opinion on the project was very important to me. And I believe that as we look at solving homelessness, we also need to remember the property rights of homeowners and the concerns of our local businesses. And I will always protect all three, the homeless, business, and the family. Thank you.
Commissioner West, take us behind the curtain.
While I had been there maybe a couple weeks before I had to take the initial vote on Project Turnkey, and it was coming really fast. But this board works really hard, and a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes. So while we are dealing with this controversial issue, we were also saying, the what if this doesn't pass, we still have to be able to house people, and we still have to get them treatment, and we still have to solve the problem locally. So we started to get really innovative and look towards different policy solutions that have worked in other places and things that create more of a community that for people, instead of putting them potentially in just a hotel, but looking at ways that we can still solve the problem the Clackamas County way and how we can plan for that and still have good policy solutions. So behind the scenes, work was going on beyond the Quality Inn to continue to find viable ways that can build the entire community and get all stakeholders on board together to solve this problem. And that is something that I learned very quickly, that this entire board it works well together, even if we don't always agree, and we're committed to making a dent in this issue.
Go ahead, Bob. You want to talk about it? Or?
He's in charge. Want me to go ahead?
Commissioner Smith, Chair Smith, sorry.
Oh, yes. Well, behind the scenes info. Behind the scenes info, I'm not sure what you mean by that, Patrick, but probably a week or two before my vote, we got some important data that came across our desk, and that is the homeless population in Clackamas County is decreasing. And we did that without a Project Turnkey because of the programs that are in place and the efforts that we are currently making. Clackamas County is home to 16 small cities. Clackamas County does not have a Portland or a Beaverton or even a Salem where a city was willing to take on this project. Every time we wanted to place it in an area, the city said, no, 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 get out of here. We picked an unincorporated area that was inside the urban growth boundary of Happy Valley, and that was probably the largest opposition from people that I've ever seen. This board was split on Project Turnkey. We were not in unison on a project that was so controversial going forward. I don't have time to elaborate, but we have programs in place that are addressing this very issue. And please remember, this is only one hotel. One hotel. Thank you.
Commissioner Savas.
Well, the week of March 22nd, I was ill, so I don't know what was actually taking place behind the scenes, but some of the information the chair just shared, we are aware of well before that, actually. So I will say that perhaps the campaign, the misinformation campaign that was ran against this project was really the deterrent, maybe, and maybe that just built up enough pressure on my colleague or colleagues to take the position they did. It was a gross distortion of the facts. In 2016, we set out the Clackamas Way on homeless with solutions such as the Veterans Village. We proved up on that, and every facility we run, and the Veterans Village is the only one we do own, we have ran it well, and we have not had those problems. So what the fear was based on nothing here in Clackamas County. We are not doing the Portland way. I was raised with learning from mistakes of others, and we certainly have examples to the north of us and around this country of how doing it wrong, and we are doing it right. And this hotel was going to be ran the right way, despite the misinformation campaign.
Okay, I'm going to go to the cards. We have our first card question. Does the county have any plans to assist downtown Oregon City once the courthouse leaves for red soils? Let's start with you, Commissioner Shull.
Yes, we've received a request from Oregon City to look at the potential for taking over the old courthouse. We haven't really spent much time on that yet, but I look forward to looking at that issue and to see how we can stimulate commerce in downtown Oregon City.
Great, Commissioner West. We'll just go in order, but we'll mix up who goes first.
Okay. We have a unique relationship with Oregon City. Our county seat is there. And so we're invested as a county to the overall health and success of Oregon City, like we are with all of our cities in Clackamas County. And that relationship and working with our local partners is essential. And so being part of that planning and finding ways to collaborate, I am absolutely open to. And I think that we have a long history of being able to find policy solutions, planning solutions, and development solutions within that region. And so I look forward to Clackamas County partnering and making that a priority to make sure that our downtown area in Oregon City is vibrant.
Chair Smith.
Yes, Oregon City is a vital partner. The county seat is in Oregon City. We've had a wonderful working relationship with Oregon City. I suspect that the business community will continue to grow in their current locations because where else are they going to move to? There are no facilities on the Red Soils campus up on the hill for them to move to. I would suspect, and it would be my hope, that a developer could buy the old courthouse and turn it into a really wonderful commercial type situation that will enhance the tribes with the development of the Blue Heron property site, now called Tukwila, and with the development of the Willamette Falls Locks across the river, of which I sit on the authority, the Willamette Falls Locks Authority. We're working on that opening. So I think the business vitality will actually increase, even though we're moving the location, because we have some wonderful opportunities for tourism and business expansion in the area.
Yeah, well, we're really excited to work with the city and explore really all the options we have there through there, with the things that the chair just mentioned, in total agreement. There are a lot of exciting things that are happening, some of which we haven't even talked about. That's some potential developments that are happening nearby. So we'll definitely want to explore all that. And one thing I will say for those in Oregon City who know this, and I don't want to repeat the tolling issue, but the threat of tolling on there because of the placement of the arch bridge and the proximity to the courthouse and all of Main Street could have a detrimental effect to the livelihood of the businesses on that street. So let's keep an eye on that, and let's support Oregon City and West Lynn with the fierce challenges they're going to face with this tolling project if it is implemented. Thank you.
Okay, I think I heard maybe a partial answer to this earlier about the real cost of tolling per household or per person in Clackamas County. And I want to add to that, I'm going to try to mash some of these questions together. Has anyone thought about tolling just one lane or maybe some other sources?
That is traditionally, although Commissioner Savish, you're the transportation guru, it's how it has been done in other areas, is to have one lane tolled and then have the option for the other lanes to be open. And maybe you know, Commissioner Savish, as to why that isn't the model here, which I personally find baffling. So I don't know. Why are they tolling all lanes? Doesn't make sense.
I'll jump
Go
in.
ahead, please.
Yeah. So we proposed that. Actually, I proposed that back in 2017, 2018. And clearly the committee, this tolling committee that was put together, value pricing committee, clearly was, I think, rigged to go the way where they're headed today. And it's just grown substantially, unfortunately, in the wrong direction with even greater tolling. Then they were going to segment tolling in certain areas of the I-205 and I-5 corridor. Now they're doing the entire thing. So we proposed tolling one lane only. We proposed express lanes. We proposed reversible lanes. We proposed side roads similar to Highway 217, which are implementing what's called frontage roads. For those of you in Washington State who drive through Washington State, you know that almost everywhere you turn off, there's a frontage road. So we proposed all those things, but on deaf ears.
Any additional
Yeah, I would like to comment on this. Stay tuned for 2 policy sessions this board will be conducting on April 12th and April 19th. We've hired outside consulting firms and attorney firms to look at the environmental statement that ODOT is hanging its hat on. And we are expecting to challenge that on process and many points, with a final decision coming out on April 19th that I think that anybody who is opposed to tolling would support.
Commissioner
you.
West?
I think that tolling is the largest threat within generations to Clackamas County. It's not close. It will fundamentally change our county. It is a threat. It is punitive. It is mean. It hurts working families, small businesses, and it puts Clackamas County behind. It doesn't, it's in perpetuity, it's forever, it's expensive. $160 per car per household, so the average is just over $2,000 a year. We're facing uncertain economic times, people are struggling, and now we're going to hit them with tolling. I'm excited that this board is unified and going to the mat and fighting. We are not gonna lay down and let them toll Clackamas County. Let that be clear. ODOT, I hope you're listening.
Yes, this whole idea to toll I-205 is not about transportation infrastructure. It's a shakedown of the society. You might recall just recently the Orange Line was completed at a cost of $1.5 billion. It was paid for by federal and state money. There was no mention of the need to toll to pay for that system. The I-205 Abernethy Bridge project is $750 million. Half as much. $400 million of that goes to the seismic improvements of the bridge. That only leaves $350 million needed to improve the I-205 expansion. So this tolling is not about infrastructure. It's a shakedown of our society. Thank you.
I want to ask a 30-second follow-up to that. What can we as non-elected folks do to fight back against tolling?
Want to jump in. I get this question every day. Contact your state legislators, every one of them, and holler, scream, just convey to them the impact to your communities and your checkbooks and your families and your spouses, your neighbors, your friends. We need to stress this more than ever. They have an opportunity in the next 2 or 3 months to make a course adjustment. ODOT is directed by the state legislature. Let's make that perfectly clear. When we talk to the chair of the OTC, he says, "Oh, the legislature made us do this." Well, we cannot hide behind that. We got to face that music. So there's your answer.
Thank you.
That's good.
Why don't we try to go in order here if you have something to add?
I would also just say, don't forget our federal delegation on this as well. They've been listening and pretty open to us. We frequently go back and forth to Washington, D.C. We haven't done that in a while, but they are well aware of our opposition to tolling, and having them on our side is a huge, huge piece of stopping this debacle.
Commissioner Schultz?
Yes, there's, like Commissioner Savas said, there's 2 bills, Senate Bill 933 and House Bill 2629, that you need to get behind. But even if they pass, the governor has the ability to veto them. So our other alternative to beat back tolling is the votebeforetolls.org and IP4. I encourage everyone to get on that website, download a petition, and circulate it. That's our ace in the hole for stopping tolling. Thanks.
Elections matter. A number of people in Salem right now voted for where we're at. A lot of the not the congressional delegation, our Clackamas delegation in Salem voted for tolling. They voted for House Bill 217 and House Bill 3055. They voted to do that in our communities. And I hope the electorate eventually will hold elected officials accountable for their vote on tolling. So be engaged, talk to your legislators, help them change their mind, ask them why they did it, and then let's stop tolling in Clackamas County. Sign the petition. I agree with that.
All right, Chair Smith?
Yes, there are 2 pieces of legislation sponsored by Clackamas County Democrats. However, it's up to the governor to sign it. You need to call the governor. When she was Speaker of the House, she created this. This was her baby. She needs to make a course adjustment. I suggest calling the governor. Thank you.
Okay, no one disagrees that a new county courthouse is needed, but can you explain why the new courthouse is so over the top in its design, cost, and amenities? Even though no new taxes are needed for this project, can't taxpayer dollars be spent more fiscally responsibly? Well, Commissioner West looked at me first, so you go first.
I like to recuse myself, or I abstain. No, unfortunately, I'm a part of getting to see the ground broke on this courthouse, but I was not part of the commission when this was done. And as I got a chance to tour the old courthouse, seeing it fall into the river, meet with the DA and law enforcement. We invest in public safety in Clackamas County. We're a public safety county. It's the largest general budget item that we do. And here we are now today, and we're building a courthouse that reflects our values. And I also have seen lots of opportunities where this board has tried to be fiscal and responsible in how they build the courthouse. And I don't want to play hindsight's 2020 and be like, I'd vote this way or do that way. I wasn't a part of that process, but how it's moving forward, I'm very proud of.
I've got to make a comment about the courthouse, because here's some institutional memory. We've been working on this since 2003. At least, if not before that. The downtown courthouse in Oregon City is basically a death trap. I have a daughter who's a prosecutor. I wouldn't want her in that building. And it's about to slide into the river with any first tremor that's coming in. We had to build a courthouse also because a 1936 courthouse does not fit the population that we now have in this county. It is bottlenecking public safety, and we really need the room for more judges and more opportunities there to stop that bottleneck. So it's really that simple.
Yes, well, this was a real hard call because the board was pressed between two issues. One, the need for a new courthouse and the preparation for being ready for the future of growth in Clackamas County, and also to be able to handle cases much faster than we can now in the old courthouse. But there was a cost issue, and unfortunately it came in a little higher than we anticipated. But if we did not follow through with this purchase, I think it would be another 15 years before it would come up again, and then we'd be way behind the power curve. Thank you.
And can we focus on the I guess, allegation in here that's an over-the-top design and amenities? Chair Smith?
Yes, I can do that. Rarely do you ever get a government body like the Oregon State Legislature says, we will give you half, we will grant you 50% of your construction costs if you want to build courthouses. County courthouses are a core county services, and it's in our Constitution. We do not have a choice. When, through the Oregon Justice Department, realized counties were not building courthouses because they were so expensive, they created a mechanism through bonding that allowed counties to pay for 50%. Why would you ever build a structure to take care of only today's needs? We do need to prepare for the future. 14 courthouses is not extravagant. There's a place for a sally port for the sheriff to bring prisoners for prosecution. Like I said, there's human services programming in the courthouse. There's even a children's room. Yeah, children end up in the courthouse, unfortunately. And it will be equipped with artwork and books, kind of like Martha and I are excited about that. We're both former librarians. So I would object to the basic premise of the question. It is not over the top. We've been quite frugal on this. Also, our 50% match will come in the form of payments. We bonded for the bonds on that last summer. Thank you very much. And we got a very good rate that you would not see today or several years in the future. So we are being quite frugal as much as is possible to meet the needs of the future.
Well, three of my former colleagues on the commission were two of them were assigned to the courthouse project, so they're not here to speak to that today. And one of my former colleagues was a big fan of CLT. So one of the reductions in that was the CLT, because that would have been even more money than the current courthouse model today. So there have been some more conservative approaches as far as the fiscal aspect. I was the only vote against the courthouse, primarily because we had not identified a means to pay for it, and we are going to wrestle with that the next 3 months. So to speak to that slightly, that in 2016, when we did this, I was trying to make the argument that we need to have a glide path into making the reductions very slowly and gradually, figure out what we can afford when we knew what the cost would be, and see if we couldn't do some value engineering in terms of cutbacks to make sure that it fit really our ability to pay for it. We haven't established that yet. It'll be tough. We can pay for it by cutting drastically, but those drastic cuts, I'm not prepared to make in the public safety arena. Thank you.
All right, so COVID appears to be over. What is the county doing to get back into the business of economic development?
Oh, that's a softball for me, isn't it? Well, I think essentially we have new folks on board. We're finally going to start revitalizing it. And I said I think the key is to really visit the businesses that are out there first. And that's one of the reasons I've been doing all these traded sector, larger businesses, to see what they're doing, what their needs are, what's their future going to look like. And so there's that piece. But then you have to drop down to the medium-sized businesses that are part of that larger supply chain. And then finally, you have to drop down to what I call Main Street, our smaller moms and pops. We have to analyze who's out there, what their needs are, and we got to get our team on it. We've done it before. We can do it again. We've been through so many emergencies. We've been so isolated, and now it's time to get the boots on the ground again to make sure this county is helping our businesses from the very top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, be as strong and vital as possible.
Commissioner Scholl?
Yes, I think the number one thing that we need to tackle to spur economic development is to get relief from the current suppressive organ land use laws. This county needs industrial lands to attract new jobs. It needs to be able to zone for new residential projects, and we can't do that with the results of SB 100 back in the 70s. It's got to change. We got to grow into the future, and we got to get relief from the state on that.
Commissioner West?
Yeah, I want to just echo the importance of what Commissioner Shoulders said, but it was also mentioned that we did hire Laura Edmonds to help do some business development. The message is Clackamas County is open for business. Some businesses in Multnomah County don't feel that way. They don't feel respected, and sometimes government seems to only respect, forget who signs the front of a paycheck and not just the back of one. And so we just have a different worldview in Clackamas County and who we're going to support in being pro-business. I know that Laura and the Office of Economic Development is starting to reach out and work with companies that are wanting to relocate or expand in Clackamas County, such as Alpenrose, in Eagle Creek, Cut My Timber, Heritage Specialty Foods in Clackamas, and the Health Right Products in Clackamas. And then we are working hard to be innovative. We've won a number of awards, and just having the environment that says we want to plant our roots and partner with this local government because they support businesses in a way that allows us to thrive and grow.
Chair Smith?
Yes. We have put an emphasis on economic development, obviously, with our new hire from your previous director. How we're funding that is every year Clackamas County gets $2 million of lottery funds, so it's not a general fund office. And we're going to be able to expand and reach out, hire her some help. It's not all on her shoulders as we go forward with this. Businesses are attracted to Clackamas County because we have a low tax base. Every time we have a new idea to try to build something, we don't automatically raise taxes. Those would have to go to the voters, and the voters really don't have a large appetite for increased taxes for pet projects. So that's very attractive. In addition to some of the businesses that Commissioner West mentioned, Umpqua Bank moved from downtown Portland to Clackamas County. And that's just one. It's a major financial institution who has bought out Columbia Bank. And moving forward, I think you're going to see more and more of that. We get calls probably on a weekly basis. You know, what properties do you have in Clackamas County? What we need is we need to develop more spaces for businesses to come to.
I would just like to add one more thing to this quickly, because one of the things we also do, it's expansion, it's retention, expansion, and then recruitment. We also we work with, sorry about the Portland word, Greater Portland Inc., but they work on our comprehensive economic development strategy for the area, and they are responsible largely to help us recruit new businesses. One of the successes was Amazon in Canby, which I thought was a really good move. So we also have these partnerships with these entities that give us more oomph and push to get that piece of economic development done, and that is recruitment.
Yeah, my response to this one is that obviously a lot of us businesses, or I still feel like I'm a business owner, but we've all been suffering from employee challenges trying to hire staff back up because so many people have, retired, stopped working. There's been a huge vacuum right there. So we know because of COVID, as we come out of this, we also have inflation. There's just a lot of stresses that are on businesses and their bottom line. So whatever we can do to assist that, we were very instrumental with the Chamber's help and all the Chamber's help in trying to get dollars out to the businesses through the business recovery process. So as we go down that path, we also need to reinforce and reinvigorate our Economic Development Commission. We've been shrinking as a result of COVID, so we need to get that membership and make it more robust than it's ever been before, ideally. But I want to go back to the Sunrise Corridor again. That's a significant investment, lots of greenfield, tremendous opportunity. We have a willing partner city, the city of Happy Valley, on the other end of that. We need that infrastructure to make it happen. I think that'll be a great stimulus for economic development.
And Patrick, I'm going to insert one more thing, because back in the room there, ladies and gentlemen, we have our early learning hub folks, and you can see all the little guys there. One of the reasons I've been visiting particularly Siemens and Daimler is because both of those businesses offer daycare opportunities. Because one of the things we're finding with the workforce piece, I serve on our workforce board, is that people are facing barriers because they can't get the daycare they need to do that. And it intrigued me that larger businesses are starting to look at this in a way that increases productivity, decreases absenteeism, provides a space for children and parents to kind of be there during the day, back and forth. And I don't know what the answer is. We've been kind of looking at it. And I've also visited KinderCare, which is a private company that provides daycare, and what their role may be in expanding that, because people can't get back to work unless to these companies, and we do have a workforce issue with people getting back to work, right? Thank you, Tina. And what are we going to do to manage that, and how are we going to take care of these child care deserts? So it's good for business to make sure that employees have an opportunity to know that they have their children in a safe, solid place. So that is one of the things that I've just been kind of working on. And I want to give a hand to our early learning hub back there. I love you guys. They know. They're a big help with that.
Well, that's great, and that actually answers one of the questions on the card, so I'll get that one out of the mix.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to ask this question while Chair Smith has a sharp object in her hand, but should the board continue to have the elected position of chair, or should that be elected by members of the Board of County Commissioners?
I'm just going to say something here. I know it's Chair Smith. I just want to make it clear, I never want to be chair. Okay, I've been chair twice. I've done it. You're doing a great job. So whatever people decide is okay with me, but I like being Steve McQueen under the radar screen in position 3, very quietly. Okay, so Chair Smith, God bless you. Just saying.
Commissioner Shull.
Yes, the commissioner position is position 1. We have, of course, 5 positions on the board, and I believe that it's in the best interest of the people of the county to continue to elect position 1 or the chair. Thank you.
Commissioner West.
I want to say I also have no desire to be the chair, and I've only been here 90 days, so I'm like, I don't want that job. Thank you, Judy, for the work you do. But I think that should be a question maybe to the voters, not to me. They are making that decision now, and what is my role to take that away? That seems a little ridiculous. But if the voters, there are models where the chair, the board does vote who is that chair, but right now the voters are making that choice, and I trust the voters.
Chair Smith.
It was codified by a vote of the Clackamas County citizens to have the chair as an elected position because I think they realized there does need to be somebody where the buck stops here. Sometimes I'm the deciding vote on a 2-2 vote. I try to collaborate as much as I can with my fellow commissioners, but let's face it, we're going to have some oppositions and we're going to have some disagreements. How my area of governments and leadership revolves around trying to listen to as many people as possible, listen to ideas that maybe I've not heard of. But in the end, it's up to the Clackamas County citizens, and there is a very prescriptive process for that. It would not only be the chair looked at, from what I understand, it would also be other positions. And currently, the chair and the other elected officials are statutory, and that would take a process. But if the citizens want to do it, it's up to the citizens.
Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, so about 14 years ago, for those who don't know, the commission was a 3-person commission, and there was a panel put together, committee put together, and for those of you know who remember our dear beloved Ernie Platt, he served on that board as well, and God bless him. So when I came on the commission, I actually was following that process in 2009, so when I came on the commission, Ernie and I and others who served in that committee talked about it because people wanted to have districts, right? That was the next step. We were not going to just sit still and stop with the model. We were going to continue on, or they were going to continue on. So we talked about districts, and we drew up a few maps of what it would look like if each commissioner was represented by a regional zone or a district of the county. But also the revisit, as Ernie said, should come after about 10 years. We ought to be revisiting that. And so I've been an advocate, frankly, of way before I was a commissioner, of really a chair appointed by the board who serves at the pleasure of the board. That's been my position all along. I shared that with every chair, including Chair Smith. We've had a couple conversations about that. No ill feelings towards any of the chair. It's just the dynamics. I think it seems to be a lot more cooperative in my history of being on 5-person boards in my previous life as special districts. Thank you.
And when I was previously here too as well, it was a rotation. So I know Bill Kennerer was chair, Larry was chair, I was chair. We would rotate it around. That worked well with a 3-member commission. And then when it moved, I was gone when it moved to a 5-member commission and came back to a 5-member commission. And the other piece we always talk about is districts. I've never been a fan of districts because I think it's our job to represent the entirety of the county. So I digress with districts, sorry.
Okay, for the last question, we're going to do a little bit of Russian roulette. So all of the stuff that wasn't asked sits here in this pile. Some of it's pretty incoherent. Chair Smith, pick a question. Oh, good, it's a page long.
Okay.
Why does the county continue to have a love-hate relationship with public transit? You cite the lack of transit as a reason for opposing tolling, but you oppose expansion of transit and smart growth around existing transit stations. What is the future of public transit in our county? And you have 30 seconds.
I don't think we are in opposition to transit whatsoever. I take exception with the assumption of that card. If anything, we would like to see more transit, especially developed at our local city levels. Wilsonville, City of Molalla, Happy Valley have their transit facilities. We're actually asking for those to be enhanced. Thank you.
We have several transit districts in Clackamas County that were formed because TriMet wasn't really providing the transit in the first place. So this county has embraced transit. The only problem is that the regional transit agency does not really listen to us. They make their investments elsewhere, and it's very prescriptive. We need local shuttles, we need local transit, and the most practical form, the most practical sense. Light rail has been a dividing issue. Smart growth, we can argue about that. How's that working for Portland? Not so well.
Yeah, I just want to say what we've seen the efficiencies in. We just recently visited Wilsonville and went on their transit system. And what we've been able to do is have these smaller communities that know the needs of their citizens, where they need to go, how they need to get there, how they can integrate maybe into the larger TriMet regional piece. But they're extremely efficient. They get people where they need to be. And the reason they came into being was because of a bill by a certain Schrader back in the day in the legislature, which TriMet fought tooth and nail. But we got it through, and it allowed us to have our communities start working on their own transit issues.
Yes, this county has some conflict with people who are mass transit intensive. Why? Because Clackamas County has the largest rural population of any county in the state of Oregon. And when you start your trip from home in Estacada or Sandy or Government Camp, it's difficult to get mass trans to work. So that's the reality. We're a very rural county next door to the state's biggest urban center, and so that's where the conflict comes from.
So just before I wore this hat, I was a Wilsonville City Councilor. One of the things I'm most proud about is SMART. SMART is one of the best regional transportation organizations in the nation, constantly wins awards, is innovative, and it moves people effectively and safely. Guess who doesn't do that very well? TriMet. So every time as a local entity we try to create good working agreements with TriMet, it has been difficult. Wilsonville has tried every pathway and avenue to try to be a good partner with them, but it has been difficult. And so we have to look to our regional partners like SMART to expand them, to provide better transport to as many people in Clackamas County as we can.
Terrific. And before I turn it over to you guys for a 1-minute close, I just want to acknowledge and say that I've been in this county for probably 23, 24 years, and the county commission has usually been kind of a clown car, and it just doesn't feel like that anymore. I think you guys are doing a fabulous job, and thank you for no matter what side of an issue that you fall on, you're doing it really well with grace and thought, and I just would like everyone to acknowledge your hard work. Let's start on the other end with Commissioner West and work our way back to the chair.
So I'm still learning, but fundamentally I understand that I work for you. You're the boss. And I promise to work hard. I don't know if I'm always going to get the right vote, but I can be honest if I was wrong and if I can look back and be reflective in the work that I do. I want to be bipartisan. I want to be honest with you, and I want to solve local problems because the government closest to you impacts your life the most. When you call and say, we have a pothole, we need to be responsive. You're the customer. And as I learn and as I move forward and as I build relationships with my colleagues here that are meaningful and productive, we look forward to solving challenging and persistent problems the Clackamas County way. And thank you so much for partnering with us and allowing me to learn along the way.
The biggest frustration I've had as a commissioner is watching our county staff work hard to deal with the problems we have to face and then have to turn around and look at the problems that come from the state and the federal level. Measure 110 is making it much more difficult for this county to take care of social problems. Measure 110 must be repealed immediately. The other problem we have is the effects of federal problems at the border. Drugs cross the border, they're in Clackamas County in 24 hours. Our federal government has got to help us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now who's the chief clown? No, don't answer that. I don't want to know. I've been here too long. Right? But what I want to say is how much I enjoy this job, how much I love this job. There is never a dull moment. Who I really appreciate that really makes us always look good is our staff out here.
Thank you.
No matter how silly sauce we get, and yes, Patrick, I've seen it all. I have seen it all. God love us, I've seen it all. They keep us on the straight and the narrow. They give us good advice. They work ceaselessly to help us do the job to serve the constituents and the people of this county. So thank you all so much who are here listening to us today, and thank you, staff, for everything you do to work with us.
Well, if I was to sum up 12 years of being a county commissioner, I would sum it up like this. It's been a long, strange, wild trip. The three hot topics for this county right now are housing, the homeless issue, tolling, public safety, and of course our immediate budget crisis in front of us. And I just wanted to speak a little bit on the housing thing. We need to come up with solutions. We have a crisis before us is getting worse, the economics, as we know. Every household, as you know, is probably struggling right now, right? If you're not struggling yourself, every household's struggling. We need solutions, but those who are on the edge of barely paying their rent are just, they're falling into homelessness every day. That's the low-hanging fruit. Those are the people we can help the most. And when we finished the Veterans Village, we had one message out of that. I had, my own personal goal was to open up the next facility to house women and children and families, because those are the ones that are being hurt the most. So I really appreciate everyone in this room who's been part of that cause, and I really implore you to continue what you're doing and lobby us for solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. I started talking about public safety in the courthouse, and I would like to end talking about public safety in the courthouse. It is really up to us to defend Clackamas County of any threats coming from the north regarding homelessness that's bringing crime into our county. One of the ways we're doing that is building a courthouse. And like I said, we have a 50% match. The payments don't start until we occupy it in the year 2025. We are taking a glide path to right-size our budget to make those payments. I disagree with Commissioner Savas when he says it's going to be crippling us. What the budget writers have done is they've taken time over the last many, many months to identify efficiencies and redundancies and wasteful spending in government. And I ask you, you think government runs efficiently all the time? I think the resounding answer to that is no. And in order for us to be fiscally responsible to the people we serve, it is up to our duty to define those efficiencies, provide adequate and continuing support of our public safety people as we go forward, and this board is committed to doing that. Thank you all for coming. We enjoyed this immensely.
All right, one last thank you to our sponsors for today, PGE, Clackamas County, Northwest Natural Gas, Clackamas Water Environmental Services, and Kaiser Permanente. And thank you to all of you for coming. We'll see you next year.